morning. Blackbird Energy, BBI on the TSX Venture. We have about a little over 80,000 gross acres right around my hometown of Grand Prairie, Alberta. One of the things that, that went a little bit further forward. Here we are. Well, there's a slide missing. It actually started off with WTI breaking out. And everybody would look at the energy industry and say, isn't that exciting? Why in Canada are we 30% underinvested in the energy sector? And what would be interesting about an oil and gas company that's in the energy sector when the energy sector is 30% underinvested? Well, there's one component, and that's been reversed, there it is. There's one component within the sector that is interesting, and that is condensate. It's the one product within Canada that we have a competitive advantage over the Americans. In December, I was getting a $3.60 premium to WTI plus the foreign exchange to get my condensate price. This month, I'm getting about an $80 a barrel for my condensate. And what this means that within the oil and gas sector, there's one component of it that's catching a significant amount of interest, and that is pure condensate players or liquid-rich players. One of the reasons is within Alberta alone, we are undersupplied by condensate by approximately 200 to 225,000 barrels a day. Every single day, there has to be imported. Where from? Mainly from the Eagle Ford, bringing it up into Canada, mixed with our bitumen to be able to transport our heavy oil out of our province. With permission from the Bank of Montreal, which is this report in draft form, they've actually done a detailed analysis of 5 core areas within the Montney that they actually highlight. And what they're focusing on is with this negative pressure within the oil and gas area, they focused on what core area within the Montney, which is a world-class resource, is, I'm not quite sure what's going on there, which is that gives attention. And what they did is they broke out 5 areas within the Montney, within Alberta, that specifically were interesting. And what they focused on is where's the liquid rich. And what they classified as pipestone, which is where I am, they actually classified it as piping hot profits within pipestone. And what they really started off with, this is our value curve and integrated, and BMO actually includes it in their report, is the 5 area reasons. We're early in the delineation, moving into development cycle. There's plenty of infrastructure coming into this area, billions being spent around Grand Prairie with 5 major processing facilities coming in, and the growth of drilling inventories moving up dramatically. In regards to well logs, I don't want to get too much into it, but we actually correlate to Encana. And what Encana has for well logs, 3 miles to the west of us, they've drilled about 120 wells, and we correlated that in. This is actually in the report. And what we really get to is that the economics on Encana with about 120 wells in is they have the highest internal rate of return within our corridor from this same geology of 350% internal rate of return, 6-month payback on their wells. Right at the present time, Blackbird has 9 wells in. We're estimated to have about a 74% internal rate of return. We feel that with further deployment of our resources into this corridor, we can achieve similar types of returns. We just announced 3 well results, and Cormark actually did an analysis and said, let's look at your well results on a condensate gas ratio over the linear length of your well. You stand out as some of the 3 premium wells in this area. Blackbird, as a Montney company, is one of the most significant on focus of revenue. 75% of our revenue comes from condensate. We're 55% condensate, 45% gas. In regards to it, we talk about momentum. One of the things this presentation about is where's the momentum in the stock, the story, and what would cause us to move this year. On drilling in our area last year, there were 120 wells. There's approximately 180 wells licensed approximately around us. There's major infrastructure, as I was mentioning. And near-term catalyst within our corridor, within our own land base, I have 4 major announcements coming out near term. Our latest well that we just finished testing yesterday, we're moving now the testers to another well, and then we're moving north. These are 3 very high impact wells that give major delineation and potential build development. One of the things that I talk about is innovation. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to speak about that tomorrow. We're also a unique company that we do all our own drilling and completions, planning and engineering within our company, and we've actually been able to reduce our costs from 12 to 14 million down to 5.5 to 6 million per well, doing some of the highest intensity completions in the corridor. My approach to the community is also unique. I do not see us that we own the underground rights and we take it as being that I can impose my access to those rights on the community. Because it is my hometown, my family settled there over 100 years ago, I've worked with the community, implemented a tree planting program that's unique for our size of company, and this gave us access. I'm actually laying out for you for the first time, this is our development plan. We're late stage with this development plan. I've already identified and we're surveying over 32 well locations, 12 wells per location right now. The right-of-ways are gathering in, and this is all in that now we're opening up our land to be developed. We're late stage with this, and this is actually tying into our processing agreement that we just entered into with Tidewater, and this is our growth. This is the forecast that we'll be producing within 2 years, 30,000 feet of gas and correlated liquids, and that actually represents about 1.5% to 2% of our potential drilling inventory. That's our facility that we're tying into. It was the only facility where I could gain ownership, which is very unique. They actually are building a gathering system right into the core of our land. It's a deep cut facility which gives me greater recovery of profits from my natural gas liquids, and it has a storage facility that when there's interruptions in gas takeaway, I can put my gas into that storage facility. We're unique. At this point where I'm about to go into this high growth, we have 20 million on the balance sheet as of October 30th. I've got maximum flexibility to move, to do a non-dilutive structuring, leverage potentially, to move to go to full development on this asset. And probably most important is what's happened around us. This all sounds great. Well, some of the most significant transactions have happened right adjacent to us. Paramount just came in and bought the Apache assets for $1.238 billion. Shell just came out and took all the Chinook assets out. That's them in the red. Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund and Riverstone have just bought land right adjacent to us, and now we're integrated with them. What's the 18%? That's management's ownership with an institution that is on my board. We are completely aligned with our shareholders, and I am focused on accelerating value back to my shareholders to achieve value for you. So therefore, if someone came in and said, I want to acquire your company, I am not worried about my job. We're worried about bringing value to our shareholders. Thank you.